Welcome to a special Tapped Out Studios interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Action Wrestling, Matt Griffin. What's going on, buddy?
I'm just sitting here reveling in the glory of running the best show Wrestlemania weekend. I keep getting messages about it, and I'm like, really? There was a lot of good shows, and there's a lot of people saying we stole the weekend up in the Northeast. So I'm just happy about that.
That's awesome, man. Hey, but let's because we know it's funny. Our podcast kind of gets out nationally, even internationally, believe it or not. And so before we get started, just real quick, let's just tell the world, who is Matt Griffin first?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, who am I? I am the CEO of Action Wrestling. We run shows, and we're based in Georgia. We've also run shows in Tennessee, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Florida over our 6-year history. We actually hit our 6-year anniversary later this month with a show that I'm sure we'll discuss. But before I became a promoter, I had a wrestling history. I was known as JC North. I wrestled from Massachusetts down to Georgia, Florida, over to Texas in my career. And my most notable promotion, I was a part of NWA Wildside in Georgia for about 5 years, and I got to do their television regularly. I also am one of the bookers and promoters of the Scenic City Invitational as well, with my partner Scott Hensley.
Like I said, tell them a little bit about SCI real quick. I know you got some stuff coming up. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but just a lot of people, Action is based, you gave us a little background on SCI just real quick.
Yeah, SCI, so the Scenic City Invitational came about in 2015. It was basically created by Scott Hensley with a few others as what if we got some of the best wrestlers together and had a tournament? And the first one in 2015 was won by Jimmy Rave. That was held at the Empire Wrestling Promotions. That's not a promotion any longer in business, but it was held at Empire Wrestling in Rossville, Georgia. Now it's held. We've had it in schools. We've also had it in the TWE Arena, which is based in Chattanooga. It's another one of our partner promotions. Basically, we pull who we feel are the best wrestlers from the Southeast, along with some of the best wrestlers around the country on the independent level. A few years ago, Futures was added. That's the Action Wrestling Futures Showcase Tournament to go ahead and spotlight wrestlers who are in their first 5 years. In their first 5 years of their careers. And we've had SCI winners and Futures winners and participants go on to some pretty cool stuff. That's coming up in July at the TW Arena. And all Action events and SCI events are on the award-winning IWTV network as well.
Well, we put that there. I knew you guys do a lot with IWTV in front and behind the scenes, so I wanted to make sure we talked about that a little bit as well. But hey, we'll put a lot of that on the back end. I just kind of wanted to, while that opportunity was there, I do want to talk about real quick the show you were talking about. You guys absolutely crushed it up there at Wrestlemania weekend. Dean, it was on April 4th. Tell us a little bit about this particular show and why you believe, and look, we're going to show in a minute why a lot of people believe it was the best show up there this weekend.
Well, I often don't like to grade my own stuff. When I say that it was a show of the weekend, it's mostly tongue in cheek, but that is something that's said to me by a lot of people. So and by people I trust and take seriously, and that's very flattering. When it comes to being a promoter, you can only put the best product you can out there. It's the wrestlers who deliver, and it's the wrestlers that I book on any given show that make me look like a really good booker and promoter. And the show was a very special event. I had a lot of people ask why it was called Dean. The show was kind of a love letter to internet wrestling fandom, because back in the days, there wasn't any social media or YouTube where you could go get wrestling matches very easily. So you're trading VHS tapes, sometimes third or fourth generation terrible copies, so you could see guys like So you could see like the Lightning Kid, who became 1, 2, 3 Kid. You could see early Sabu, Terry Funk when he was on the Indies, Chris Candido. There's all sorts of famous matches that happened in small venues that kind of became legendary, and you were trading tapes around. Also, that's how Japan was able to be seen. There was tape trading from Japan, All Japan, New Japan. Later, promotions like Noah, of course, the All Japan Women. There's a guy in Pennsylvania who had a great source and was the um, basically like ground zero of a lot of the Japan stuff in Jeff Lynch. So the show is called Dean because Dean Rasmussen was a founder of the Death Valley Driver Review message board, and that was an influential place where a lot of people who ended up going on to really do something in the industry, including the guy who runs AEW. He was a board member. Lots of wrestlers lurked or came in because there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter to talk wrestling. This was how you did it via message board. Dean Rasmussen was a guy in the Virginia area who went to a lot of shows. Not only did he go to shows, but he traded tapes and he used his profile with a website message board to talk about what he liked and with a different style. And he always kind of gravitated to different things that people hadn't seen. Like, he wasn't just talking about what happened on Raw this week. He was talking about this match that happened in a Mexican junkyard, from 5 years prior. They were talking about stuff from Japan. Oh, this, there's stuff on the indies. They'd cover, and he particularly covered wrestling at times that I was on when he'd go to shows. I wrestled in Virginia. So to make a short story really long, Dean passed away last year. So the show that was planned to be kind of our love letter to internet wrestling fandom, we added on that we wanted to memorialize Dean Rasmussen, and a lot of people really got behind that. Long time, decades long, old wrestling fans, and so that became kind of a cool movement. And we had we kind of wanted to have a variety show of wrestling, and I think we did that, and people really liked what we put out, and there was a lot of energy in that building, and it was a really special night.
And I know you're saying, like you had like this why you put certain things out and certain things on that card. So explain that a little bit. You just kind of insinuated that, like the matches, how they were chosen. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there were certain people that were favorites, and what's awesome about this show is that it was well received, but we had ideas that were even, there were certain talents we couldn't get. Some weren't interested. And that's fine. That's fair and valid. But we did have a lot of people who were contacted, and we wanted to have, like, for example, one of the early matches was Damus, for example, was somebody that's unfamiliar to a lot of people. Maybe not anymore. He had this incredibly violent dog collar match. I mean, they were literally just like punching each other in the face with a chain, and they were punching each other very hard. That was Damus and Mad Dog Connolly. Damus was a favorite of Dean. The Meth Lab Battle Arts grapple stuff was a big favorite of Dean's. Wacky Six Mans. So we basically decided to have kind of a variety show aspect. And what's strange is that we had a lot of wrestlers who were pretty notable. We had their only bookings of the weekend. So we had, I don't want to say exclusivity, but we had a show that didn't look like a lot of others. There were plenty of wrestlers who were in and out and working all weekend that we had. I think Marcus Mathers had something like 10 or 11 matches from Monday to Sunday, for example. But, we did have a lot of wrestlers who this was their one booking. Or like Tim Thatcher. Tim Thatcher had, in the whole course of a week, because the event started on Monday at the H2O building, Tim Thatcher had 2 matches, one at 4 o'clock on Thursday, one at 8 o'clock on Thursday. That's how it happens sometimes, but it gave us the effect of having a really cool, unique vibe on the show with a lot of talent that wasn't seen elsewhere.
Well, that's one of your go-tos, and I'm not segueing out. I want to stay on the topic, but that's kind of one of your strengths in your home base as well. That you're bringing in guys that all of the promotions around you don't. So it sets you apart because you just don't look like every other promotion around you.
No, I want to be a promotion, and this is kind of around the Southeast, and no heat on any other promoter. You should run the product you believe in. I think that's the most important thing for any promoter. And I believe in making my promotion a place where the top guys in Georgia and the Southeast come. They want to be seen, and then they want to get out there and do other shows. And the flip side of that is I have wrestlers constantly want to come into Georgia and work for action. They want to come wrestle. This is something that's happened for years. We have somebody come wrestle at Action on a Friday night, go a couple hours up the road and wrestle in Chattanooga for TWE on a Saturday, and that's their kind of mini loop. I mean, so the last shows we've had cars come in from Massachusetts, for example, in December and February. We have cars regularly come in from North Carolina. Over the years, we have cars from Indiana, Chicago, just a lot of wrestlers who travel in for us, so we can kind of be that connection. We can be that hub to some of our wrestlers can get to know people in other areas and hopefully get brought in there and impress.
Right, and that's what I meant. Like you stand out, you get and it's crazy. So we'll cut that segues back to your show that you just did, the Dean show, and it's caught such a buzz. And literally, I want to show everybody there's something that's out there to show you kind of the feedback of why you should go check this show out. It's already on IWTV, so go ahead and check it out. And if you don't take our word for it, try some of these. I mean, look, that's a lot. I know that's fast paced, but hey, that's wrestling. It is fast paced. But go check it out. I mean, like I said, you saw the feedback and like kind of elaborate a little more. Like I know it's just been, like you said, over and over and over, just more constant positive feedback from that show. And then so explain that. Then I've got a follow up question I want to ask you about WrestleMania weekend.
Well, I mean, I'm just very flattered that we had a lot of people check out our show. One of the busiest time slots, and one of the toughest time slots was ours. We had Thursday at 8 o'clock. There's a few other independent shows that I don't know how much they were on the radar that were going on around that time. And I don't really know how necessarily they did, but that was the WrestleCon Super Show. They started, I believe, at 7 o'clock, and they had a stacked lineup. They had DDT over at GCW's Collective. There's a lot of people who want to see a DDT show, so that's not something you always get to see. So we had stiff competition, but our viewership was very good. I had a goal in mind, and we surpassed it. And our VOD people going back and hearing the feedback and watching it or rewatching it has been great as well. Yeah, I'm just blown away that we were able to put something on, because it's like, when you have a plan and you have an idea, just like in 2021 when I ran in Tampa for WrestleMania weekend, I said I want to go in and I want to present a show that steals the weekend, and hopefully we did. There was a lot of good competition. I mean, I was at the clusterfuck. That was so much fun. That was so much fun. In a totally unique vibe in a lot of ways. And I was at ICW, No Holds Barred on Friday night. That's a fun show. I really, ICW is very much do you like this style of wrestling? I do. So I had a blast. And it was just the cool thing with going up for WrestleMania weekend with all the independent shows going on is there's just something just about all the time, and unless you force yourself to take a break, you won't. So just to be a part of it and end up being a big part of it is very, very flattering.
That kind of actually leads me to what I was going to ask you. Like, as a promoter, like, you can get comfortable. You can get comfortable in your home. You could stay right here. Like, what motivates you as a promoter like you went to Tampa? Like, what motivates you to decide, I don't want to be comfortable. Like, I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I want to go down there, because you brought it up. There's tons of shows there. the competition is just bananas. Like you could, and let's be honest, you could easily get lost in the shuffle. You talked about all of the stuff that's running there. So what like gets inside you to say, I'm going to do this?
I mean, it's maybe it's an ego thing. I want action wrestling and what I believe is my style of promoting. I want that. I want to put that out there. I want to put that out into the universe. I don't want to. I don't want to just get a building and run it once a month. I want to run shows that are discussed nationally. I mean, we constantly have feedback from from people watching in Germany, France, Japan. There's multiple countries that and multiple languages I've seen reviews of action wrestling in. I can't understand them without Google Translate, but we have reviews up on Cage Match of that show, and several of them are in languages that are not English. Some of them are in German. That's cool. We have people watching in Germany and typing up reviews. Whether I like the show or not, I want to have an impact. I want to be not a promotion that's based in Georgia or based in the Southeast so much as I want to have it. We're based here. I want to be a national level promotion. I don't want to just live here and only run shows within 15 minutes of where I live. No, there's nothing against, if there's nothing against people who do. I want to run something that's considered a higher level. I want to be seen on IWTV on YouTube, and I want to be mentioned with other promotions that are around the country. That's what I want. I want to have that visibility and that credibility, and really be able to continue. That's where the growth is, I think. I want to be able to continue to grow.
So part two to that question then, because I kind of thought that was kind of your mentality. Because I kind of share that mentality. People often ask me like, "Hey, you want to be the best podcast in Georgia?" No, I just want to be a good podcast everywhere. Like I don't want to do it in Georgia per se. Do you ever have aspirations down the road to where like, hey, even if it's every 6 months, we go run a show in Texas, California? Like, does that expansion like running shows, or are you looking more specifically, hey, SummerSlam's running in Cleveland, we're going to go up there and run a show around Summer, or that type of environment?
I want to go. I don't want to say I'm risk averse, because I'm not risk averse, but I want to put myself in the best situation possible. Like 3 years ago when we ran our Have Fun Be Sad show Mania weekend, we partnered with ICW. Danny DeMonto is the promoter there. He was getting a building. He reached out to other promotions, and I was able to have a show. This year we teamed with H2O and Matt Tremont. He hosted shows. He had shows from Monday night before Mania on, and we were able to get a good time slot. He was gracious enough to let us use the building, and I want to go into situations that I feel are good where there's an existing infrastructure. I don't want to just drive the ring truck up somewhere. I do believe in definitely. I do definitely believe in growth, but I want to make sure that we're set up to succeed, because I hate wasting time. I hate when things don't go well because of poor planning. I want to make sure that whatever I devote my time to, and energy and money, it's got a shot, like a good shot of working out. So incremental growth is important to me, because anybody, I mean, I've been in the business it's 26 years this year. There have been so many, whether it's wrestlers, promoters, I mean, heck, even podcasters come in, talk a big game, splash some money around, and then they're gone. And whether it's they ran out of money, or they just weren't as good as they said they were, and they couldn't back it up, or if they got tired of it for whatever reason, I still want to be around. I mean, I can think of promotions that have come in. I mean, heck, since we started action wrestling just in the state of Georgia, I'm sure you can come up with several promotions that came in and shut down. Some with controversy, some with unpaid wrestlers and bad blood. So I always just want to take chances, but I want to make sure they're chances where I have a very good chance of success.
Very calculated risk, right? Yeah.
I like calculated risk.
Absolutely. So again, make sure you're checking out the show, Dean Action Wrestling Dean on IWTV. It's already there. Make sure you're checking that out. Absolutely, you don't want to miss that. Anything you want to add but onto that show? I want to talk as much as you want to cover on that show because, like, again, everybody, all the feedback, best show from that weekend. Before you move on, I want to talk about a show that you've got coming up too, but I want to make sure we don't move on until you've covered everything on there.
Yeah, I'm going to cover just a couple matches on that show. Demus El Demonio, a luchador, and had this incredibly violent match with Mad Dog Connolly. It was both their only matches of the weekend. It's a dog collar match, and I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal. It was wild. I have not watched it back yet, but I really want to see it. We got a lot of good feedback. The main event of Daniel Makabe and Timothy Thatcher was very special. It's renewed a series that they began in the Pacific Northwest in, I believe, 2016. Daniel Makabe is a friend of mine. Tim Thatcher we had at the Scenic City Invitational last year. Just awesome to work with. And it's like he's almost an enigma in wrestling. But he's great to work with. That was a fantastic main event. If you enjoy the wrestling part of wrestling, that's one to see, and will be one of the matches for one of the matches for the weekend and for the year that you should watch. I think my proudest moment, though, it was a tough week last week for Slim J. Monday he got released, unfortunately, and our show was Thursday. He came up with a chip on his shoulder and wrestled Adam Priest. And it's not so much that they did a lot. It's that the execution and timing was, like, to the split second, was just amazing. And they did do a lot, but it was just, it was more everything stood out because of how spot on everything was. And I know Slim J had he obviously had a tough week, and he voiced some of his thoughts on Twitter. And, just to be able to come off and have that big FU match with Adam Priest, hopefully that opened eyes to people that, you don't have to say Slim J still got it. He never lost it.
Correct.
And hopefully promoters, I did hear for some promoters after the show, and, hopefully Slim J's bookings in the next few months will pick up because he's still at the top of his game. That's the match I was just happiest with for personal reasons. And Adam Priest, of course, I've said for, last year, he's probably the top guy in the Southeast. So
I stand behind both on that. Look, we booked a little show a while back, and we had Slim J on the card. I've been a fan of Slim J for years. I think criminally underrated across the board. He even, like, look, he's got such a reputation as such a talent. I don't even know if you caught it. Like, he caught a shout out from Conrad Thompson on his and Eric Bischoff's podcast, putting over Slim J about, hey, get the guy on your show. You won't be disappointed, and you won't be. So hopefully he pans out. And listen, speaking of such, he always puts over Adam Priest. He's a big fan of Adam Priest. I actually saw Adam Priest at the Top Guy Weekend event that they had. He was there, and he's a massive fan. And I mean, and like I fortunately have the privilege of seeing Adam Priest pretty regularly where we live. So yeah, absolutely, cannot wait. That's one I've been itching to get to as we go through that card, sir. Both of those guys are just super talented. And I hope I'm with you. Hopefully there's just more and more bookings all over the entire country for both guys, so. But hey, let's dive in. I know you got a big show coming up, and look, I'll go ahead and, show you probably what everybody's talking about. Mustafa Ali's coming in. That's going to be a huge draw for the, and look, what I love about shows where stuff like this happens, there will be fans that just swarm to the show. They want to see Mustafa Ali. And it's such a perk and such an advantage to everybody on that show to take advantage of all those extra eyeballs that have not been there, to take advantage of that and, just show out and hopefully increase their exposure across the board as well.
And that's how I believe it works. I mean, it helps me because hopefully we'll attract new fans. It works for these wrestlers. Hopefully, Landon Hale himself will open new eyes, working with Mustafa Ali. That's the goal. That's always the goal, to get out there. I'm looking for a fantastic show. It's our 6th-year anniversary. Last year on our 5th-year anniversary, we did a mystery show, a surprise show. I was like, screw it, we're going to do this again. I'm just not going to announce anything. I love to under-promise, over-deliver. It's very rare that I say we're going to run the best show, and I don't like to say that. I don't like to say that. I like to go off what other people say, because yes, I'm a promoter, but I want to just have people coming in expecting to be entertained and then be completely blown away. I think that's the best recipe for success. Like, oh my God, we didn't know this was here. We have to come back and see it. Mm-hmm. I've had that with some of my shows that I've run at other locations. Like I've run a brewery in Fayetteville, Georgia 3 times. There's people who are only coming to those shows because it's local or it's a place they hang out. And that's cool. They would not have been coming to shows at the other venues. So by adding a venue, I've picked up more fans. And then, some of them do come to my other shows. So when it's just broadening the fan base. I think that every wrestler on the show has a chance to broaden their fan base. They're going to wrestle in front of people, whether in person or on IWTV, that have not seen them before. And that's how things can happen. The best case I can think of this in was it 2019? Alex Zane was wrestling on the 4th of July backyard show for GCW, and SEMA saw it, and all of a sudden Alex Zane goes to Japan because SEMA saw a GIF of him and Tony Deppen, and was like, "Oh shit, this guy's got something." And Alex Zane's career blew up since then. Those are things that can happen. I welcome. The door's always open for other promoters. At Dean Thursday, we had other promoters that were in the house, and I heard from other promoters who were watching on IWTV. When you run a product that people want to watch, it gets a lot of interesting eyes in those on, and that's how things pick up. I myself, Mania Week, I'm talking and introducing myself to people and checking stuff out and making contacts, and that's how other wrestlers make their way down here as well. So yeah, the whole personal social aspect of wrestling is very important as well. And I'm looking forward to it. We're 2 weeks away from Action Forever. Just the fact that I've been doing this for 6 years and I'm not sick of it at all is a giant miracle. and and I'm happy. So I'm planning to open some eyes of that show.
And look, I hope it's you. I hope all the talents on that card see it's the opportunity to, like to say, you've been doing it for a long time. Some of these other guys, I want to kind of piggyback into the IWTV thing. Easy for me to say. Guys working your show and they get on IWTV. It's a way, and I wish more guys understood the promotion of it. Like, you see guys that work these shows, but I'm like, you need to go out of your way to promote. You have a match on this card that is on IWTV. Use that to promote to yourself to new promotions, like new bookers, new owners, whatever you want to call it, to get out there and say, because now, remember the days when and I'm sure you've talked about your wrestling history. You used to have to send a tape, to try to get, a booking, 2 states over. Now these guys can literally send an email with a link and say, "Hey, here's on YouTube a match of mine," or "I'm on IWTV. This is the card. And it starts at minute 19, 1932 or whatever." It doesn't get much easier than that. Use those tools to get more eyes on you. And I wanted to add to your thought about when you run these separate venues. You said something about fans, and it's something that I know I've heard that I don't even know if a lot of guys think about. Those fans they're only coming to that one particular brewery show. But if you make them such a fan, they pick up IWTV to catch the other shows that you run because they want to stay caught up. They just I just can't drive 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever the drive may be. But it's a tool, man. Use every tool. I just hate it when guys don't use every tool that they have in the tool bag.
Yeah, you have wrestlers that, for example, Rachel Armstrong. We were very high on her. She was at our Futures event. She had a great showing in the first round. I think that was probably our best first round match that we've ever had. That was Rachel Armstrong, Cody Manhorn, and Jay Malachi. Jay Malachi just debuted in NXT the other day as Javon Evans, by the way. She won. She parlayed that into coming uh, to action here. Had a great debut matchup with Billy Starks, and now she's a regular with us. And WXW in Germany invited her over there last month for their big wild card weekend, 16 carat weekend. She was on the wild card show and one other event. So all of a sudden, she's wrestling in Germany from being on our events. And I know for a fact that's how it happened. She represented Action Wrestling in Germany. That's very cool. Um, that's that's literally how stuff works and is supposed to work. And I can tell you as a promoter, being on shows that are live on IWTV is a fantastic tool because people aren't just watching and maybe throwing a tweet up. They're watching and using the hashtag and talking about it live. I did not work the Action Wrestling Twitter. That was my good friend Mika Villas, who did a great job during the Dean show. But I'm able to look at my phone and see instant feedback.
Mm-hmm.
People talking about matches that just happened, that are about to happen. I can't wait to see this. Holy crap, that was an amazing match. So you're getting all of that at once with fans who are watching the show, talking about it, communicating, interacting with each other, and those can, that this type of atmosphere can propel a wrestler to go ahead and get opportunities other places.
That's hopefully the goal, and that's what they're hoping they come in. And by the way, it's happened multiple times. We've had conversations. It's happened more than once to you. There's guys that are traveling overseas and getting these opportunities, and that's again, it's just the power of the internet and video and live on streaming now. Who would have thought, like back in when you started, did you, if somebody had told you you could stream a live show and you'd be like, what does that even mean? But like everybody all over the world, we were just thinking like, hey, we're trying to get TV local so we can be seen, right? No, now there's a guy he's having trouble sleeping in Germany and he's watching this, he's up at 3 a.m. or whatever watching the show on his, just live on his computer or his phone or whatever. It's crazy.
It's a big deal. I mean, not everybody has the infrastructure to be able to do it, but it's a big deal. We were on IWTV from the beginning, and we want our stuff to have a platform to be seen. We want the men and women and non-binary pals who work with us to be able to be visible. And I don't want somebody just to come in for me and have one solitary match. Maybe they only do have one match for me, and that's sometimes it happens. You catch somebody passing through, they move, circumstances change, and you may only have them for one shot. But I always want it to be a situation where people can expand their fan base, expand their promotions that they're working for, just to expand and grow themselves. I don't want somebody, I don't generally tend to gravitate towards wrestlers who are comfortable. Bobby Flacco, for example, just to throw out a name, Bobby Flacco is somebody who he's started traveling to South America, and he's not only that, he's wrestling in different countries in South America, and he's wrestling. Oh, he's also had shows, all around the country as well, around the U.S. But he even started taping. He started blogging, doing a video blog. He's got a lot of subscribers on YouTube, just making his videos that have nothing to do with wrestling. They're wrestling adjacent in that, hey, this is the hospital I'm going to stay at, or hey, this is where I'm going on my wrestling trip. But he's just doing travel blogs. That's cool. He's using what he's already doing in an avenue that I don't know if he ever planned to open up a YouTube channel, but he did, and he's hitting some success with it. That's cool.
I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, I subscribe to his channel. I mean, I literally, I was like, why am I subscribing to a travel vlog? because it's Bobby Flacco, the wrestler that I know that I've used. I mean, look, it's, and like I said, I agree, man. This is the internet. Don't let it be wasted, guys. Make sure you're using it to your full advantage. And that even means watching action wrestling on IWTV. They like you said, they're streaming. Their shows are live. Give them a follow on all their social media. Make sure that you're going back. All their stuff's on video on demand. If you want to get caught up on stuff that you're like, oh, I want to. If you watch a show and you're like, hey, I need a little backstory. Well, they go back to the one before and the one before and the one before. Just keep watching. But if they do want to give you a follow, kind of what are the best places to find you at? On social media, etc.
Sure. Facebook and Instagram. You can type in Action Wrestling and the number one for Facebook and Instagram. Action Wrestling 1. On Twitter, it is Wrestle, WRESTLE. It is Wrestle Action and the number one. We're also on TikTok. You can just type in Action Wrestling. And it's also we have some of our free content on YouTube, youtube.com/Action Wrestling.
And of course, subscribe to IWTV and catch it all. Every single show that's like that. When they're streaming, it's there on demand. You can get caught up. That's what I love about it. I have gotten in a rabbit hole, and people don't understand. Like, I will watch wrestling backwards. Like, I'll catch the last show and go, oh, I need to see how they got there, and go back and watch the one before that and the one before that, and so forth and so on. So make sure, again, Action Wrestling. Follow them on all platforms of social media. IWTV. Look, get your subscription because, look, let's be honest. It's not just Action Wrestling. There's tons of promotions all over the country on there. You guys are just one of the biggest and the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been very cool growing this thing just from an idea like hey, what if we decided to run shows? It's something I've always had in my back pocket, and I picked up a lot of experience, and it's very validating to see that a lot of things I picked up over my first 2 decades in the business have paid off.
And look, before we do get out of here, though, I was like, hey, we got through the business part. I do want to give you your flowers here, pats on the back. Real quick, tell everybody, you guys do a lot of fundraising as well. Like, it's, we're in wrestling. We're trying to make $1, yes. However, you're also doing a lot of good stuff. And before we take off, I do want you to kind of let everybody know about that a little bit before we get out.
Well, we, some of our shows are going to make us money. Some of our shows we're able to go ahead and donate proceeds away. Just this year, since January, we did a show in Tyrone that the beneficiary was Clearwater Academy in Tyrone. It's a local school. A lot of their kids come. It's a school that definitely caters to people and kids who need kind of an alternative education for whatever reason. They're fantastic people. We literally had people come from Clearwater Academy to shows and say, hey, can you do one of these shows for us? And I was like, yes, we can. We've also worked with two different middle schools that we've done, each somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 750-ish paid. We worked with a Arnold Middle School in Noonan, and then we worked with Madras Middle School in Noonan. Same town, kind of far apart. So both schools' programs made thousands of dollars from, simply helping out, promoting a show, spreading the word, getting their own sponsors, and that's great. I love that. We get to do what we love. We get to spread the positivity of our style of pro wrestling, because we know that there's lots of bad stuff in wrestling, lots of bad shows, whether it's underhanded tactics or whatever. As much as as much as I despise Gary Lamb and Southern Honor, and I've been going there for months to tell him, I will say at least he is the one good thing I'd say about he is a good promoter and an honest person, promotion wise. The people who are like me and Gary, or like Justin out in Athens, or like David out in Monroe. There's for every few of us, there's a lot of them, a lot of promoters who are putting on bad shows or running away holding the bag. And I just like the fact that there are a group of promoters here in Georgia. I'm one of them. We can spread our love of pro wrestling and leave a positive image, which hopefully will continue to further the business and continue to grow the independent grassroots movement of wrestling in the Southeast. So that's important to me. that we do that, and we get to help our schools make money.
Yeah.
So,
And always leave it better than you got it, right? That's the old saying. And but like I said, I felt like a lot of people just think wrestling, it's promoters are trying to make money, and I wanted you before, like I said, before we got out of here, I want to make sure you understood that a lot of people do see the good work that you're doing, and
I
give you a little
appreciate
bit of
that.
praise. Again, make sure, guys, IWTV, sign up, get your subscription. Action
Promo
Wrestling.
code action. Promo code action when you sign up at IWTV.live.
There you go. And to check them out again on all social media. Check it out. It'll be in the show notes, by the way. I'll put all the tags, the Twitter, so you can just check into the show notes and give them a follow. And catch a show, man. When they're in your area, catch a show. If you're here local, if not, that's what the IWTV's for. Promo code ACTION when you log in to make sure you subscribe. Hey, man, I appreciate you stopping by, Matt. Anything else you want to share before we take off?
Man, we didn't even talk about the fact that April 26th we have a match, a tag team match for the Action Wrestling tag titles between the Good Hand, Shug D, and Kevin Ryan against the new champions, Jade Newman and Matt Sells. And whoever loses the pinfall, whether it's by pinfall or submission, whoever loses the fall is getting their head shaved. So April 26th is going to be a hell of a night. And I promise you, I know some don't always enforce stipulations. I will be enforcing that stipulation in 2 weeks. Someone's losing their hair.
As long as it's not Matt Sells. Matt Sells, there's a running joke between Matt and I. He's my fourth favorite wrestler. And not really sure how we landed on 4, but that every time I see him, I go, "Oh my God, it's my fourth favorite wrestler." He gets a chuckle out of it, But those locks, man, we can't have Matt Sells. He's too much. It's the boozer weight, the party guy, the rock star that he is. Can't lose his hair. Again, that is April 26th. Make sure you check it out again, whether it's on IWTV or catching it live. Follow the guys on social media, man. I can't stress it enough. Give them a follow. Absolutely one of the best, not only in Georgia, not only in the Southeast, obviously now with IWTV across the entire country. Look, man, we wanted to give you, like I said, just tip a cap to you and all the hard work you've done over the last 6 years and grown that business to make it what it is today, man.
Well, I appreciate it, Nick. I appreciate you talking about independent wrestling too. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to have people like you watching and spreading the word and telling others what they like. Always encourage people to check out independent wrestling shows. It's not just what's on cable TV. It's what you can find in your local towns and local buildings. It's sometimes more exciting, and that's the grassroots. That's the business. So,
I agree.
I appreciate you guys for doing that.
You're more than welcome, man. Well, again, we appreciate you coming in. And look, I keep trying to head over that side of town, and I just found out today I possibly will be in the building on the April 26th show. So
that will be a good one for you to make. I hope you can be down here for it.
I hope so as well, as long as I don't get one of those surprise weddings again, which we talked about over there. that will be the case. So, but again, man, hey, appreciate you coming in, and we'll catch you down the road, buddy.
Appreciate you having me. Take care, everyone.